All right, let's get into it.
We are under attack. What just happened in Boston is happening everywhere. These crazy explosions that are happening, that are shaking entire buildings for hundreds of miles, like a 100-mile radius, if not more. So we'll come right back to what just happened in Boston. Yesterday in South Carolina, there was this crazy explosion, but it wasn't just an explosion. Entire houses were shaking all over the state. People tried to say it was a sonic boom from military aircraft or an earthquake. But guess what? They checked with the USGS, it was not an earthquake. They checked with the military, it was none of their stuff either. It's just this crazy boom that shook it was shaking, y'all. When that happened, I knew that something would, like, you could feel it, right? You could feel that something was up. Fast forward to today, the same thing just happened in Boston, and you could feel it in all of Boston. High-rise buildings, the entire things are shaking. And you can hear that right here. They're now trying to claim it was a meteor because one video saw a light in the sky. I don't buy it. I think it's also strange it's happening with the disclosure day and the UFO files. Mark my words, heard it here first. It's gonna happen again in a different state within 24 to 48 hours. Save this video, you'll see.
The explosion actually happened around my area here in South Carolina. I did not get to feel it or hear it, neither did my coworker or any of my family, but apparently around my area it was very loud and people felt it. And you know, they keep telling us these explosions are coming from the sky, but if buildings are shaking for miles around, maybe we're looking in the wrong direction. At this point, I'd be less surprised if it was some underground construction project that the government just doesn't want us to know about. That's basically happening nationwide. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one.
The US government is taking the UFO disclosure aspects and turn it into an anti-illegal immigration thing, right? I cannot even fathom what I'm seeing right now. This is obscene, right? So if you've been following the White House on X, they've been sharing some cryptic videos and messages and information to do with UFO disclosure. There was one where there was an individual running through some sands or a field and it whispers disclosure, alluding to an alien. And then there was a crop circle with a helicopter flying over it, which again, more UFO stuff. And a whole host of other things that they've been alluding to with the aliens.gov website as well. So what they've done, right, if you go to aliens.gov now, and it brings up this webpage that you'll see above me here, and it says, for 60 years, the US government has kept a closely guarded secret. Aliens have been walking among us, living in our neighborhoods and interacting with us in our daily lives. They've shopped in the same stores, attended the same classes as our children, and lived seemingly normal human existences. With one exception, they do not belong here. Right? Millions arrived under the cover of darkness, embedded themselves directly into our society. Countless presidents, congressmen, and senior officials knew exactly what was happening. Instead of protecting American citizens, they chose to cover it up and even accelerate the invasion until one man finally had the courage to tell the truth. Bold, unapologetic, unafraid. President Donald Trump was the first to call out the real danger. Aliens pose to every American family, every community, and the future of our nation. The truth is no longer out there, it's right here, right now. So, I'm gobsmacked. So they've actually not delivered anything. I mean, I kind of had a feeling this is what was kind of going to go towards it in this route, knowing what POTUS and that are like. What is going on?
Welcome to America, brother. I mean, honestly, I was not expecting the alien website to end up being about illegal aliens. The way they ran with the extraterrestrial theme is honestly kind of diabolical. They built it up like it was going to be some big UFO or disclosure-related reveal, only for it to turn out to be a political immigration message. Wow. Whether you agree with the message or not, it feels kind of like a slap to the face to the people who take both subjects seriously. I would say it's safe to assume that UFO researchers were expecting information about unexplained phenomenons, and the people concerned about immigration were probably expecting a straightforward discussion about immigration. Instead, they mashed the two together and used one form to grab the attention of the other. Again, it just seems like one big distraction after the other, and this one definitely, I did not see that one coming. I was curious though. Is this something that you were expecting? Hey, if you haven't done so already, and if you're enjoying the show, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I upload a video like this typically 2 times a day, Monday through Saturday, early in the morning and later in the afternoon. And for everyone that's made it this far, thank you so much for supporting the channel.
Here's more things I want to know. I want to know about the glass octopus. This is a rare, deep-sea, mostly transparent cephalopod. Its gelatinous, transparent body helps it camouflage on the sea floor in the dark depths called the Twilight Zone, where humans like us can't see. It has distinctive rectangular eyes with a centered lens. This limits horizontal view, but it reduces silhouettes from below. It's found in tropical and subtropical regions, and these guys don't get that big. They get up to 1.5 feet. But how cool do these things look? This is science fiction to me. Every day they find something new in our seas, and they're like, wow, look at this. They just discovered a little blue octopus in the Galapagos that's a little tiny guy. Look at him. It looks like anime. It's awesome. So what I want to know is just how many octopus and cephalopods are really in the ocean that we don't know about at all, because I guarantee you there's still a lot to be discovered. And I want to know all about the cephalopods. I want to know what it's like to hike the tallest peak in Southern California.
San Gregorio, 11,503 feet. San Jacinto is over there. Where I was born is Big Bear, and that's right over there. The desert's behind me, the ocean's that way. But what I really want to know is, what am I going to eat when I get off this mountain, because I'm starving.
But what I really want to know is who on that list is going to jail first in America, because the clock is still ticking.
I'm sure that there's still so many things in our ocean that we have absolutely no idea exist. It almost seems like every time a scientist goes down into the deep sea, they seem to find something that looks like it came straight from an H.P. Lovecraft novel. And don't get me wrong when I say this, space is fascinating, but sometimes I feel like we spend so much time looking up that we forget how much mystery is still right here on Earth. It's crazy to me that we know more about parts of the moon than we do some areas of our own ocean. And hey, I actually have a friend that was born in Big Bear. Seems like Big Bear is just full of cool, talented people.
Now this is wild. This is mad. What they have just done sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but I can assure you, is actually real. So researchers have taken a pig's heart that had been dead for hours. I'm not talking about this pig literally was about to die and then they took its heart. It had been dead for over an entire hour, and they managed to get it beating again and bring it back to life. Not with electricity, not with some crazy machine or time travel, but by using a special serum and fluid designed to protect and restore cells after death. This is mad. At the moment when organs are donated, doctors are racing against time, hearts, lungs, kidneys, because they all start dying immediately as they're taken out of the body. Obviously, this results in thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of organs being lost every single year, and it goes to waste. But if this actually works in pigs already, there's a very good chance it will work in humans. And we would then be able to preserve organs, repair them, maybe even restart them from someone who's dead. Which means this one experiment on a pig's heart could literally change medicine forever, and who knows what could actually come from this.
I will say, if this actually works, that would be a huge win for organ donation. Right now, there's such a small window to get organs from one person to another before they're basically non-usable. If doctors are able to keep organs healthier for longer, that's more lives saved, and a lot fewer donated organs going to waste. But at the same time, it's kinda creepy when you think about it. Almost some Warhammer type stuff. Imagine a heart sitting in a bag or a machine, and it's still beating, it's still technically alive in a way, but it's not attached to a body. It's not conscious, or at least we don't think it is, but it's still doing what a living organ is supposed to do.
Think about linens. People would put out the linens on Sunday, they would say a prayer, they would sit around their meal. So the prayer would uplift the food, number one, right? Because you're saying the prayer, everybody's grouped together, hands held, and they're praying over the food. Then you also have the linens right there, and that linen is emitting 5,000 frequencies of light up into the food, so it's uplifting the food. Then you had your sterling silverware that you were consuming out of. And then you also had your uranium glass that you were drinking out of. Think of all those things elevating the food and the frequency going into the food and what it would turn your meal into. Now take it and put plastic plates and plastic forks and a plastic table set and people not really caring, and think of the energy that would be. Night and day, right? And that is the frequency of what we're eating out of and also our thought. And here's another experiment. If you have a meal and another person has a meal, taste what their meal tastes like. Because the frequency of our mind impacts the meal. So your food might taste a little different than another person's food. There's an imprint of energy. And that's kind of what we started with, right? The imprint of energy with copper and all the things that we're talking about. where the imprint that's being put into them.
Now, when it comes to the uranium glass, you can count me out, but I've been actually interested in the linen for a while, especially when it comes to the clothing. I hear great things about it. I hear that it helps you breathe better, it makes you feel better, it does contain better frequencies, and overall it's just a more quality cloth to wear. But it is expensive. A linen t-shirt, if you're getting a genuine 100% linen t-shirt, can cost anywhere from $80 to $120. And not only that, it's hard to find 100% linen. A lot of it's a 50-50 or 90-10, where 90% of it's linen, 10% of it's cotton. If anyone out there has any recommendations for linen clothing, please let me know, because I am thinking about upgrading my wardrobe, and I would like linen to be that new next option. I just really do not know where to start. So if you have any information, please feel free to provide.
Quick question. Is technology forcing humanity to look in the mirror right now? So throughout history, technological advances have caused humanity to shift, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worst, but that's how it happens, right? We're at a point right now, we are looking at AI, right? That's the reality. Artificial superintelligence. I mean, we can see it, it's on the horizon, it's coming. Are we at a point right now where we are being allowed to lessen our critical thinking and that skill overall with things like Neuralink? You know, where does our mind end and machine begins, that whole kind of concept. But that's what is happening, right, in a way. But is that forcing us subconsciously to try and understand consciousness even more? Let me know what you think about that.
One thing I always find interesting about these kind of conversations is that it seems like every time that we get technology that further advances us, it makes people question our own reality and or if we are even human. And in a weird, sick way, I think that that's what the people on top, or the top shelf pieces of trash, or the elites, or whatever you want to call them, want. I think that they want you to be overwhelmed with technology, to make you question reality, to make you question your existence as a human being, to keep you suppressed. And right now, AI is the big suppressor. It's almost like the winning ticket for the top shelf pieces of trash to win. Let's build all the data centers around AI, cut the electricity and other resources from the people, and make them question their own value as a human being. In a weird way, it's almost like a mental game to see who and how many people that they can collapse. At least that's the way it looks like to me. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one.
This group from Princeton made 3D minds, and it combines methods for both 2D and 3D brain organoids. They innervated brain organoids with this three-dimensional mesh that they grew around. This allows them to have contact with each individual neuron and pull data from each individual neuron. This is a lot like the folds of the brain. We have an increase in contact, so you can pull as much information as possible from it. Nothing is wasted. As we make more complex brain organoids, there is going to be the question what we are limiting them in doing. If we grew a human brain, which I guess we kind of are, around these electrodes, is it going to interfere with how they're connecting or what kind of information that they can process? We don't know that yet. One of the things that entertains me most about this is that we are rediscovering what evolution took billions of years to figure out. We've seen organisms grow from having very simple brains to having very complex ones. This is why I say, by the way, that it is better to borrow from nature rather than figure it out the hard way, but us humans love to figure things out the hard way. Now, something you might ask is how useful could this be for scaled up AI? Chances are you will not have it on your home computer, although that would be nice. There are already organoid data centers out there, and they're largely used for research. We've seen a few of those companies like Cortical Labs or Final Spark that sell subscriptions for the use of their brain organoids, and there's even a brain organoid computer you could purchase if you really want to. It's $30K. We have already seen these systems being scaled up, and the benefit is that they use far less power. Again, your brain operates on 20 watts, as I love to say, not a particularly bright light bulb. The drawbacks are, of course, that they can't really do linear algebra, although you can combine a brain organoid with AI, and they could operate different parts of the system, which would significantly reduce power consumption. My honest belief, if I had to make a projection, is that we will probably move to physical reservoir computing. I really don't think biological reservoir computing, although we could end up having biovats of brain organoids doing computation, which is cursed. It is absolutely cursed.
Man, either this is the start of the dark age of technology or the most expensive servitor factory ever built. They're growing little brain organoids, wiring them down to computers, and somehow this isn't a Warhammer 40k horror story. The only thing that seems to be missing is some person chanting praise the God Emperor while a biological hard drive is asking why it exists. Give it another 150 years and we'll be there.
Bro, what is going on in France? This is them happy. Hundreds of people have been arrested overnight after PSG fans took to the streets to celebrate them winning the Champions League for the second year in a row. And just like last year, the celebrations turned to violence. It turned to clashes with police, them setting fires to cars and e-bikes, smashing storefronts, and even the freaking Battle of Hogwarts. Over 22,000 police had to be deployed across France in preparation just in case they won. And many shops even boarded up their windows before the match because they knew what could happen. One of the country's right-wing leaders said, "Only in France does everyone feel compelled to lock themselves in their homes on the evening of a victory to avoid being confronted with violence." So France, I say this for your own sake. Please don't win the World Cup.
Hey, I get being excited that your team wins, but vandalizing, there's no excuse for that. If anything, if you want to be that excited and you want to cause that much damage, take it out on your own property. Let's see how much damage you cause then, because honestly, this just looks like an excuse to be ratchet.
There was recently a fire in New Mexico, near the White Sands missile base. When people took pictures and videos of that fire, they saw a UFO in the sky above the event. Yeah, let me tell you about it and show you the pictures. So the Seven Cabins fire, which just happened a couple days ago in New Mexico, which is near that White Sands missile base, was pretty big, and people took videos and pictures, obviously from a distance. Like this. Do you notice anything? Up there? Right over there? What about now that I circled it for you? There's something up there in the sky, in the air, floating over the fire. Now it was floating, but not like a balloon, because it was moving from space to space. And as we take a closer look, we can get a better view of it. You see, it didn't stay in one spot over the area of the fire, which once again is near that White Sands missile base, where there have been reports for years, decades of strange activity up in the sky. Now, in no way am I saying that the missile base or the object caught in the sky had anything to do with the fire, but it was seen, once again, up in the sky over that fire. And the closer you zoom in on that thing, the even stranger, yes, stranger it gets, because that's not a balloon. That's not a plane. It could be some kind of drone, maybe. But if somebody was flying a drone over that fire, maybe to just get videos or pictures of it, why wouldn't they have said something by now? So we wouldn't have to guess what that is. Because as of this moment, it's a UFO. Unidentified flying object.
I don't know, someone makes a good point. That could be Captain Planet trying to save the day. All serious though, I really have no clue as to what that could be. It does seem to be producing a green aura, and it also does look like a clump of balloons. Yeah, I'm not sure on this one. Let me know your best guess.
If you ever mailed your DNA into 23andMe or Ancestry.com, you're gonna want to hear this. Recently, author and philosopher Jason Rezajorjani appeared on American Alchemy and claimed that he was told about a secret program involving DNA testing sites in the search for aliens living among us. According to the story, retired Army Sergeant Lynn Buchanan, who was part of the government's remote viewing program, was once approached by three beings claiming to be Nordics. You know the type. Tall, blonde, blue-eyed, almost Scandinavian looking, except they're not from Earth. And according to this claim, these Nordic aliens escaped to Earth from a tyrannical government from their homeworld and have been living quietly in small towns in the Colorado Rockies for decades. But apparently, the CIA is now trying to find them. It's said that the Nordics have been here long enough to have had hybrid children and grandchildren with humans, and their descendants don't even know their true origins. Buchanan was told that former CIA analyst and UAP specialist Kit Green had supposedly found a way to access DNA databases and search for specific genetic variants linked to aliens. And remember for years when scientists used to call parts of our DNA junk DNA because they didn't know what it did? Well, what if it's not junk? When certain unknown genetic markers show up, that's the thing that certain groups may be looking for while trying to locate aliens who are otherwise hiding in plain sight. And does anyone remember back in 2023 when 7 million customers had their data breached from 23andMe, and then every director resigned with no explanation? You sent them a saliva sample, and they now have your complete genetic blueprint. And there's allegedly a backdoor for certain entities to see if you have non-human DNA. Now, I've already seen people connecting this to a theory about Rh-negative blood, a rare blood type with no clear evolutionary origin and no primate ancestor that we know of. It's been tied to these theories of being connected to aliens for decades. And I've also seen people saying that maybe they're not looking for aliens, maybe they're looking for Nephilim bloodlines from the Bible. Now, this all sounds super far-fetched, but sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.
You know, now that I think about it, my wife, she is tall, blonde, and she also has blue eyes. And her great-grandmother is from Colorado. She may be a Nordic.
I visited the White Sheet Hill crop circle, and I'm going to kind of go through what I've found and what I've been feeling and some of the experiences I had inside and now outside of the crop circle, and kind of unload some information now. So starting off going inside the crop circle, I'm going to talk about this in a more spiritual sense because that's what my belief system is and what I experience. So everyone's experience is going to be widely different. So if it's not your thing, move along, but I'm going to talk about everything and unload my thoughts right now. So yeah, starting from going on inside the crop circle itself, it kind of felt really calm and serene compared to the multiple other areas that I've been to previously. The moment I stepped inside, it felt really relaxing, calm, and a really nice experience. And one strange way that I can kind of explain it, because many people are asking, it almost felt motherly, kind of like swaddled inside, warm and fuzzy. And I felt really safe where we were. And now, it wasn't just me that was experiencing this was multiple other people as well. Others that were coming into the circle, just kind of watching them observe going around the outside, and then talking to them, they were also feeling very kind of like swaddled and like relaxed almost. So it was a really beautiful energy in the site location where it was, because 50 meters up the hill from where it was, there's a Neolithic settlement there where there's burial mounds, and it dates back to about 5,000 plus years old. So we had some major correlation between a spiritual significance. And in the opposite direction, probably about a mile, there was another crop circle that happened probably at the beginning of this year, not so long ago, near some watchtower. And then there was an ancient watchtower. So it kind of lines up in a perfect line almost, and it's a little bit strange. We had the quartz and chalk geology, which is linked to the flint rock itself, because that's in the quartz family, which makes it have piezoelectric properties in that area. And where there's piezoelectric properties near quartz, there's a lot of strange activity to do with the UFO phenomena, paranormal things of that nature gets attracted to those sites, because there's some sort of mix of energy there almost, where these beings, things from different dimensions, if you want to call it, congregate, and they can manifest better. Now, when I was going around the crop circle itself, again, it kind of felt really cozy and comfy, and observing the grains from the inside of the circle versus the outside, I've got a grain here, and I'll throw up a picture now to do with the ones that I just freshly picked. So this is a grain from outside of the circle, and in my previous video you'll see me going picking this and comparing it immediately. So if you're trying to get through the middle here, so right in the middle there is a growth node, and it's probably about the size of, I'd say, maybe a 5p piece. It is very small, the stem's very spindly, and the top of the grain is still quite young and a bit thin, right? And all of the other crops around it in the outside were exactly the same. None of them was kind of differing in size, because they've all planted at the same time and growing together systematically. Versus the inside of the crop circle, okay? This grain is wildly different. The head is absolutely bulbous, right? And this was of all the ones inside of the crop circle that you see in the video as well, and I'll put some descriptions here as well. It was very large and big and massive, you want to say. The stems are way more elongated and thicker, right? And the nodes are a lot fatter in a sense, right? Look at that. Very large, okay? This is, rather than a 5p coin, this thing is massive. And I'll put a comparison with you right now, right? Look at this. Look at that. It's plain as day. This is the outside, this is the inside, right? And the stems on the bottom of the barley itself were not broken, so these ones are woven rather than the rope and board method. Usually people crush them down, push them down, and the bottoms of the stems end up breaking and being damaged. But what you have here is just a non-damaged thing. It's just all of these barley grains are rising back to the surface. So when you're observing the grains itself, none of them are snapped or going grey and dead. All of these, about a week later, are rising back towards the sun, much like the Sutton Valley one that we visited previously, and the one near the Long Manor, Wilmington. So that was very cool and profound to kind of witness here.
And one other thing I wanted to take note here is the center of these circles had these almost nest-like things in the middle that were kind of woven together. None of the stems are broken, but they were perfectly whooshed together, almost like a gust of wind pushed it up out of the ground. Now, there's no pole holes present in the center of these circles, which you would expect with more so man-made ones, where people shove a pole in the middle, unravel a rope around to then create the circle itself, but there's just this nest here. So, I don't know, I've only heard about this in legacy sightings. I've seen photos from more so like Janet Ossibard and so forth, but this is a first.
So there were those readings, and compared to some of the other areas that I've been to previously in multiple other crop circles, I had one near the Long Man and Wilmington where the readings, all readings from the RF, magnetic field and EMF readings were kicking off, and it was on a live stream, everyone was seeing it live. The guy count was going crazy. But versus this one that we visited in the White Sheet Hill, it was kind of like random pings. It was a bit softer. There was like an average like of a 0.1 kind of chill. But it wasn't anything major sparking, but it would just kind of ping randomly on the readings every now and again. And the Geiger counter was the one thing that kind of had different readings. So there was more radiation present in the ambient environment inside the circle versus outside, which is very strange. But ever since I've been inside this circle, I've kind of been sat in a sense of bliss, calm. I feel really relaxed and chilled, and I kind of float around. And I feel a little bit like, I can't really explain it, like a bit frazzled a little bit, you know, like I'm can't think properly, I'm kind of sleepy and a bit dopey, but in a really good way.
I know he said that the grain was rising back towards the sun and that it wasn't all snapped up, but honestly a lot of it looked pretty dead to me. Maybe that's just because a lot of people have been walking on it observing the crop circle, but I don't know if I would have been able to say it was rising back up and none of it was snapped, because a lot of it did look snapped and dead to me. And for the crop circle itself, it's either some kind of alien hotspot where they keep coming back to leave crop circles, or there's just a local guy out there who's gotten ridiculously good at making them. Because for them to all be within that region kind of makes me think someone's doing this intentionally and it's not extraterrestrial. And if so, very talented. Or like I've always said, could be some kind of ancient technology underground, and that's just the formation it makes above ground. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one.
There are these desert highways that go 60, 70 miles without you ever seeing a single person, a house, a gas station. They are so remote and isolated that they are terrifying to drive. And there are people who claim to see these entities on the side of the road. They call them the Watchers, the Night Watchers, the Night Stalkers. Some people call them stickmen. The Native Americans call them stick Indians. Now, there was this trucker named Lamont. Lamont was driving from California to Oklahoma, and he did not like truck stops. He didn't like to stay at truck stops. And so he would always take these back roads, these scenic routes, so that he could pull off onto like a dirt road and sleep in the back of his camper at night. Well, he found himself on this one particular stretch of highway in Arizona where it was just completely open desert. And there was nothing around except cactuses and small bushes. As he's driving down this road, it is approaching twilight. The sun is starting to go down, the sky is red, and he had maybe about 40 to 50 miles to the nearest town. Well, he started to notice something off in the distance up on the highway. And he said it was over to the right, just standing there, and it looked like some kind of large cactus. As the truck got a little closer, he started to realize it had the shape of a very skinny, tall person. And it looked like a stick figure, is how he described it. He gets within about 20 to 30 feet of this thing, and he can see that this thing is like 9 feet, 10 feet tall. It is huge, but it doesn't have any shape or form really. It is just like a giant stick person. And he's so distracted and focused on this that he accidentally crashes his truck. And the back of the truck fishtails off the road, and he finds himself turned around in the middle of this desert road. So he manages to back the truck and get it straightened out, and he pulls off to the side of the road. At this point in time, he notices whatever this figure or thing was, it was gone. He figures, I better inspect the truck and make sure that I didn't do any damage. So he gets out of the truck and he goes around to the trailer. And as he's looking on the passenger side wheels, he hears the rattle of wind hitting these like shrubs. So he turns around, and off in the distance, there is the stick figure thing again. It is just standing there. It isn't moving, and it looked like a giant stick person. So he's like, I need to get this done and get back in my truck. So he starts inspecting the wheels again. This time when he turns around, it is now closer to him. And as he moves a little further and he turns around again, it is now even closer. And by the time he gets to the passenger side door, this thing is right up on him. And he can see this thing is 9 foot tall. So he jumps in the truck, he starts it up, and he starts driving off. As he's driving down the highway, he gets maybe a mile away from where he sees this thing. And he sees it again on the side of the road. And then a couple miles later, he sees it again. And this thing just kept disappearing and reappearing on the same spot on the right side of the highway. And all the way until he reached this town, which was 40 miles away, this thing continued to follow him. Finally, he gets into this small little town, which is on a reservation, and he pulls into the small gas station. He gets out of his truck and he goes in and he grabs a coffee. And the Native American man who is behind the counter says, you look stressed, like, is everything okay? He goes, you're not going to believe me, but, I just had this experience with something that looked like a stick figure. And the Native American man said, oh, yeah, I know. He said, my people, we talk about this all the time, but it's called, a stick Indian. And, we believed that in older times, our ancestors, they would ride horses and they would see these things out in the desert. And sometimes they would chase them. Sometimes they were just protectors or watching over the land. And so he said after that, even though he did not like rest stops or truck stops, he chose to only stay at truck stops.
Hey, I enjoy really long drives, and I do not mind taking the back roads. But if I seen a 10-foot tall stick figure thing appear around every corner, suddenly that extra 20 minutes on the interstate doesn't sound so bad.
Second bugosphere, the Valdivia sphere, has been proven to be fake, and this guy is stuffing his pockets with candy right now, trying to hold his phone like... So he's drilling into this object right now, the Valdivia sphere. This one was found 14 days after its initial crash landing, where people witnessed this in the jungle and they found this object. So the person that found this object probably feels like a bit of a numpty right now. But drilling in with a bog standard drill, some dude is like puffing in the background, and when they shove a camera inside, it reveals nuts and bolts and seams and human manufacturing, right? So they still haven't explored internally, physically, with a camera with the bugosphere itself. No one's opened it up. They've done scans and so forth, and there's some strange alloys and apparently some 50,000-year-old resin that was present on it. So that one is still inconclusive, but this one has been proven to be fake. But we need to do this with the bugosphere, just to kind of see what we can do, if it can be penetrated, if you will. Physical evidence.
To be honest, I'm really surprised they even attempted to drill in any of these spheres. Really, I'm surprised that they're not doing it in a more safe environment instead of barehanded and around food and treats. But I mean, hey, that's you, I guess. But I am really surprised that they actually drilled into one of these spheres and pretty much openly admitted that it's man-made. Now, why they didn't do that to all the spheres at once, I really have no clue on that one. Again, I'm really surprised that they even went this far. It will be interesting to see if they do the bugosphere, the main sphere of all of them, and then we can possibly put this to rest, understanding that this is a man-made device. Let me know what you guys think.
I feel happy. I feel healthy. I'm a human being.
Same here, man. Same here. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end today's video. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching these clips with me. If today's your birthday, happy birthday, and if not, have a good day anyways.